Hello. Yes, as you know, my name is Ruben Arizmendi, and I am the attorney who does estate planning. Estate planning, a lot of people don't know what that expression means, but you did tell me that your husband asked you to come in to start the paperwork on a living trust.
Yes.
And a living trust, you do know what it means, more or less.
Yes.
Okay. It is something that's far better than just doing a simple will. If you do a simple will, you're going to be required to go into court to have the judge interpret that will. And that's what we're trying to avoid. That's a thing that's called probate. Probate, we, at all costs, if we can avoid, we're going to avoid, because it becomes very expensive to do a probate. If you can avoid doing a probate with a living trust, that's your best bet. Okay? So your husband and you had a great idea because you own properties, I understand.
Yes.
And let me tell you first, I've got a form here that I can fill out that if I ask you the questions and we go through this form, we could probably get it done a lot quicker. You can ask questions at any juncture, obviously. If at some point you say, well, I'm not sure what that is, can you explain that to me?
Okay.
That would be okay. That would be okay. Okay, so first of all, it's great that you're here. I'm glad that you're here. I thank you for being here and putting your trust in us. I'm not doing a play on words when I say putting your trust in us. You feel confident that we will do a great living trust for you. I hope.
Yes. You became with a lot of recommendations from my friends, and many friends have come through here. So I know I am in good hands.
Okay, great. Thank you
for that.
Thank you, and I appreciate those referrals. I noticed that you put down a couple of names on the intake form that you gave us.
Right, because one friend referred another friend and another friend and another friend, and we are a group of women. So that's why we all know about you.
Yes, okay, good, and I'm glad the word's getting around. All right, so to understand a living trust, you got to understand that there are many different components. In other words, there's a declaration of trust, there's a pour over will, which is kind of a supplement to the living trust, and there are two powers of attorney, and that is one for healthcare purposes and one for financial needs. Those all of these documents are supplemented with additional documents to make the case a much stronger, maybe not so much bulletproof, but a strong legal document, so that if anybody decided that they wanted to try to challenge it, it's not going to happen, because the documents will be foolproof, and they'll express exactly what you want to happen in the event that you pass away. Okay?
Okay.
All right? Okay, so first of all, the very first thing we go for is, what is the name of the trust that you want? And let me tell you first, before you decide, it's not unusual. In this case, your husband is Luigi, you are Frida, and your last name is Bisuet. So it could be the Luigi and Frida Bisuet Living Trust, or trust. Or it could just simply be the Bisuet Family Trust. These are the things that are very typical and common when you select a name. Do you have a name that you would like to use?
And there is a name like an animal name, like the hummingbird or something like that.
A hummingbird trust, you can do that. You can do that if you like. I have found, it's been my experience, that many people who have a lot of investments, or perhaps a lot of assets, property, they may want to do that so that it won't be so easy to find you. And because if your assets are in the name of the Hummingbird Trust, for example, who's going to know that that Hummingbird Trust is actually Luigi's and Frida's trust?
Well, that's good, because we don't not only have property now, but we're planning to have more property in the future.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. Well, why don't we put that down, the Hummingbird Trust, as a working title? You know, maybe Luigi may have another idea, but we'll
Sure.
put that down. And then, um, I, because of the way this form is set up, I'm going to be jumping right into the cost of this uh, program, or I'm sorry, these documents that are being prepared for you. The reason is that I want you to know that up front, but I also want you to know before you get shell shocked by any price. I would like you to realize that we're talking about approximately 100 pages of different documents. And so, and they're all documents that are protective of you, Luigi, and your family. I understand you have children, and from the phone call that we had, I understand that you want to make sure you leave something for the children. You leave almost everything for the children. Okay, so these things will typically run anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 if there's the simple trust. And in this particular case, because you have more than one piece of property, we're probably looking at something close to $5,000. Okay?
Okay.
And so what we typically require too is that you put $2,500 down and $2,500 at the end of the trust.
My friend that recommended me, she has about the same properties.
Oh, okay.
And she just came about a few months ago. So she told me that it was going to be about that price. So I am glad you haven't raised your prices.
Okay.
I was ready to pay that today.
Okay, very good. Very good. So I'm going to just make a note here that we've already agreed on that. And I understand too that even though you both speak English excellently, your primary language is Spanish. Is that correct?
True.
Okay. There are some documents, like an introduction letter, that can be in Spanish. Would you prefer that, or would you rather it be just in English?
Just in English is
Okay.
fine.
Let me make a note there. Okay. We can generally get a trust prepared for you within a week's time if there's some urgency. If there's no urgency, maybe a couple of weeks, 3 weeks. It depends on what kind of situation you'd like to look at.
Well, nowadays we never know what's going to happen, so it will be better to do it fast.
Okay, we'll have it for you within a week's time from today's date.
That would be wonderful.
Okay, let me make a note of that. All right. Now, Luigi's going to be able to come back in, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I do have these eyeglasses because I read a little bit better. I'm going to check the box that you're married, and I have your address from your intake sheet, so I'm going to add that to this questionnaire that I'm completing, and that way we'll have your address, we'll have your email that you filled out, and your birth certificate, and your date of birth, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that. But the date of birth needs to be in the document also.
I wish I knew my date of death.
Yeah. One thing that I didn't get written down, and no, actually there was written down. I requested your social security number, and so I have that. Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes.
And Luigi also?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. So now Luigi and you live in the same house, right?
Right.
So I can make that notation. Both of you are married to one another. Neither one of you have been declared incapacitated by a court or anything like that, right?
Right.
Okay, good.
We're very healthy.
Good. Now this is sometimes a little bit tricky and hard for clients to understand, especially if you have no legal experience or not, whether you have legal experience or not, that is. And that is, if you pass away, do you want to make sure that the trust cannot be revoked by Luigi and changed?
No, he can change it.
Okay, all right, well then that has to work both ways, okay? So if we say that it does not become irrevocable, in other words, it can be revoked and changed, it has to be, you both have to be in agreement on that, okay?
Okay.
And I'll be honest with you, we do have some people, maybe traditional Mexican husbands who may say, I don't want her to change the trust because I want everything to go to our children. And
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Just in case I get married and have other children or
Or have
another
another
husband.
spouse, yeah.
Oh, I see. Oh, I see.
So,
Yeah, maybe we want to leave it to the present children will be better.
okay, so it'll be irrevocable.
And then if those present children, if he or if I will pass away and then he has more children, I am sure my children will share with the other children.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, now this is also sometimes a challenging question, and that is, who do you want to leave in charge of managing this trust? The person will be referred to as a successor trustee. The successor trustee contemplates that the two of you, Luigi and you, agree that if you pass away, Luigi will be the trustee on his own, and vice versa. In other words, if he passes away, you'll be the trustee of this trust on your own. Okay, so maybe it would be helpful here for you to understand that the purpose of the trust is to see that the assets and the property transfer smoothly over to the people you want it to transfer over to, your children. And that way, the person who is managing this trust is referred to as a trustee. And so.
And the trustee can also get a part of the inheritance. For example,
Oh yes,
I
of
can
course.
put my oldest daughter as trustee. She's very good administrator with money, and she's very loving to his siblings. So all of them are very loving, but I mean, I am sure she's a good administrator.
Okay, well maybe this is a good time to jump a little bit ahead and come back, because you mentioned your daughter. What is your daughter's name?
Her name is Ingrid Disuet.
Okay. And what is her date of birth?
It is June 6, 1977.
Very good. This is your daughter, and this is your oldest daughter.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have other children?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
We have others.
Who would be next?
The next one will be second daughter. Her name is Astrid Bisuet.
Okay. Is that with a Y, Astrid?
No, it's with an I.
With an I? Astrid Bisuet.
Yes.
And her date of birth?
That's July 10th, 1979.
79, okay. Yes, because I'm just calculating based on the ages that you're giving me, your oldest daughter's age.
Yes.
Okay, and you have one other child?
Yes.
Who's that?
His name is Didier.
Oh, that's one you're gonna have to spell for me.
D-I-D-Y.
D-Y?
E-R.
E-R, okay. D-I-D-I-E-R?
E-R.
E-R, okay.
Yeah.
Bisuet.
Bisuet.
And I'm gonna need his date of birth.
And he was born in May 4, 1981.
Okay. This is your son. All right. These are the only 3 children that you have. You don't have any adopted
Biologically,
children.
yes, but adopted we have another. But we have like
Informal.
informal adoptions. It's not like adopted officially,
Right.
but we have other two that are.
Do you anticipate leaving something for them?
I would like to, yes.
Okay, so I'll need their names and their dates of birth.
Okay.
Maybe you can supply that a little bit later.
Okay.
Yeah, because now we need to go back to where we were.
Okay.
Who is going to be the trustee? If you pass away, that'll be Luigi. That's typical, if
Right.
that's what you want.
Right.
And then if Luigi passes away, it'll be you, which makes sense.
But
This-
how about if I pass away and Luigi gets sick, like?
That we're going to be talking about in just a moment.
Okay.
Those are powers of attorney for health, powers of attorney for financial affairs, and we'll need to talk about those also.
Okay. And then also, if I pass away,
Yes.
and then I give all the power to Luigi to be the trustee,
Hmm.
what happens when he passes away?
Well, that's why we will have somebody who is a successor trustee. And you mentioned your first daughter is Ingrid,
Right.
and she can be the person who becomes the successor trustee.
Oh, okay.
Okay? And so what I would suggest is that we leave it this way. First, it's you in the event that Luigi passes away, then Luigi in the event that you pass away, and then Ingrid. And if Ingrid passes away, do you want to list somebody else? Us three, maybe?
Street would
Us
be
three?
good.
Okay. And then finally, if for some reason those two daughters were not around, it would go to Didier?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to list those three people in that order, in
Okay.
ascending order. Is that okay with you?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
Very good. And let me just make sure I make a note of that. Now, here's a point where, because of the way the form is set up, I usually ask you if you have any special gifts that you would like to make. You have a beautiful headset there, headwear, and I'm wondering maybe you have a lot of them, and you know that maybe Ingrid likes them more than Street, or maybe you know somebody else who would like to have them, and you want to make a gift of them. Or jewelry, if you have jewelry, you want to make one of your daughters have it, or have your daughter share it, something along those lines.
Yeah, but can I put like all my jewelry on any collections that I have, coin collection, bill collection from all over the world.
You have a coin collection?
Yes.
Okay.
And all of the
Is that going to one person, or?
I want it to be distributed, and whoever wants whatever, but maybe Ingrid will just make sure that everybody has something,
Okay,
or even
she'll be in charge of seeing that somebody.
but then, for example, Astrid might want more than Didier, and that's fine. You know, sometimes guys are not interested in things,
Right.
and
Yes, and we
So-
could spell that out. We could say that in terms of your collections, your jewelry, Ingrid will be in charge of seeing how that's divided up between the other two siblings if they're interested. Now, on the other hand, Luigi may have some jewelry or something of value that he wants to make sure Didier gets. And
right,
so
I will have to ask
you have to
Luigi,
ask Luigi.
Okay,
Okay, and
I
we can
will.
put that in here.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
Now, none of the three that you've identified, your three children, are minors, so that's an advantage.
Right.
You don't have any minors, you won't need to designate somebody as a guardian for your children because they're all older than 18 years of age.
Right. And how about if I want to leave some of the grandchildren also?
Okay, well, this is a good point where we should talk about how you intend to leave your things, because your assets, there's quite a bit of assets in terms of real property and other investments. If you want to leave something to your children and something to your grandchildren, and you want to do it by way of percentage, that's the easiest way to do it in reality.
Oh,
In
okay.
other words, if the houses are sold off, there's money from the proceeds of the sale that can be divided up in percentages.
Mhm.
And that might be the easiest way.
I see. Like I could say 60% for my 3 children and 40% to my grandchildren.
Right. You may want to specify 20% to each of the 3 children, and then 40% to your grandchildren, or maybe break that down to the grandchildren.
Right.
You know, how many grandchildren do you have?
I have 9.
Oh, okay,
Each one had 3.
okay. Congratulations.
And some adopted too.
Okay.
So,
Okay, so you would want to spell out their names.
Okay.
Maybe what you need to do then is take this form and fill out the names of each one, their date of birth, and what percentage you want to leave to each one.
oh, okay.
That would be the best way to do it, okay? Then if, for example, now this is a different situation. What if Ingrid, heaven forbid, but what if Ingrid were to pass away before you? The question becomes, what happens to her share of 20%? Will it go on to her children, or will it be divided into the mix with your other 2 children?
Well, I hope that doesn't happen, but
If it does.
if it does, I will rather have her children have it.
Yes, okay. That's known as per stirpes. By right of succession, by right of passage, it would go, instead of going to Astrid and Didier, it would just go to Ingrid's children. And we do that for Astrid, and we do that for Didier.
Yeah,
That's
that
good?
would be good.
Okay, well, let me just make a note here that that's what we're going to do. Yeah, okay. All right, now, these are your 3 children, and you're sure that's what you're going to be leaving them something. You don't have someone who you would absolutely hope would not have a chance of receiving something. That terrible brother who's the black sheep in the house in the family. Something that, you know, here's what happens if, and this would be a disaster, that you had no children, you had no grandchildren, then your assets would normally, under the law, by succession, go to your brothers, your sisters, if you had any. And if that's okay with you, we don't have to talk about disinheriting anyone. But I do have from time to time clients who say, well, unfortunately, my brother got into some problems with drugs and still hasn't worked his way out of that.
Oh, I see.
So I'd rather you put down there that under no circumstances shall he receive anything.
Oh, I see. No, actually, I have 3 brothers and 3 sisters, and all of them are very wonderful citizens.
Okay.
And I actually, now that you tell me, I would like to leave them something too. So do I need to put their names and all of that?
Names and their date of birth and what percentage you want to.
I hope you have extra pages there.
Yeah, we'll get you extra pages. Okay, now we're moving on to what is the powers of attorney. You have a financial powers of attorney. This contemplates that maybe you cannot fill out a check, pay the bills, take charge of the various accounts, and you need help with that. Ordinarily, that would fall to Luigi, and vice versa. Luigi becomes a situation where he becomes ill and cannot do the financial affairs that need to be done. It would normally fall to you. If you don't want that arrangement, then you need to let me know now, because here's the scenario. if Luigi and you have gone on to this higher plane, you're no longer here, and it would normally fall to Ingrid to take care of all the financial affairs. At that juncture, because you guys have deceased, you passed away, there would be no need for you to have a power of attorney. The powers of attorney expire upon your demise. When you pass away, they don't come into play. The trust comes into play.
Oh, I see. The trust is like the power of attorney for Ingrid
For Ingrid.
and for everybody else.
Right, in the event that the two of you, Luigi and you, pass away. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, so should we leave Ingrid in charge in the event that neither Luigi or you can handle the financial affairs?
Yes.
Okay, but and please understand, this is a power of attorney for financial affairs while you're still living.
Yes.
Okay, and it's just that something has happened and you're not able. You lack the capacity to do the things that you normally do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and should we follow that same order? If Ingrid's not
Right.
available, then Astrid.
Right.
And,
And then Didier.
and Didier is the last one. Okay, that keeps things simple. That keeps things nice and simple, and I'm assuming that you've talked to Luigi about this because
Oh,
when
yeah.
you came here, you told me that you had all the answers.
Of course.
Okay.
Right.
And that's the only way
That's
I
why-
agreed that I would interview you without your husband being present.
Yeah. He's a
Okay.
very busy guy, so he sends me to do the
Do the hard labor, the tough stuff.
right,
The
and
tougher
then
stuff.
he just wants to know where he signs.
Now, this is just a suggestion, but it doesn't need to be this way. When it comes to a healthcare directive, California has something that's referred to as an advanced healthcare directive. When it comes to that, what you're doing there is you're determining who it is who will take charge. And sometimes, maybe in a very vulgar fashion, we say, who's going to pull the plug? Okay, which we can laugh about it when we're not in that situation, but if you have people who are on ventilators or devices that are artificially maintaining their lives, sometimes at some juncture the doctor says, well, do they have an advanced healthcare directive or a do not resuscitate DNR? And you may look around and say, no, Luigi wanted to live as long as he can without, give him all the medical care and attention that you can. Okay, and that would apply to you too, if that were the case. Now, I know that the vast majority of people I talk to say, we don't want to live that way in a vegetative or comatose state. That is a burden on the family. It is not something we would like to do. That's one side. The other side is the one I first gave you. At all costs, save my life as much as you can. Mm-hmm. At some juncture, when people do fall into this comatose or vegetative state, at some juncture, most of the family goes around to saying, you know what, she didn't want to live this way, or he did not want to live this way.
I see.
Okay?
Wow, that's a big decision because
Yeah, I think it might not be a bad idea for you to talk it over with Luigi so that you get that.
definitely.
Yeah.
Because on one hand you say, to start with, maybe don't put me in a machine, just let me die if I'm going to die.
Right.
But
Right.
if you put me in a machine, that's because I have some chances. And then you hear so many people that they are in a coma for 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 months, and then they come back and they are like, whoa,
Yeah.
spectacular people. I have met them actually.
Right.
And then after they come back, they write books or they
They do something that's very positive and
spectacular, very wonderful for the whole humanity.
right.
Because I guess when they were in a coma state, they were in a special place. I don't know, but
Yeah. This is why oftentimes, especially when there are 3 children, people like yourself, Luigi and Frida, will say, well, in terms of whether we do the pulling a plug type thing. I want all three children to talk about it and decide amongst them. You know, if that's, let's say that.
Give them the decision to
Yeah,
them.
put the power in their hands. When Luigi is gone, say, and now you're here, and you fall into this comatose state,
Or vice versa.
or vice versa.
But how about if they don't agree?
Well, two of them will say one thing, and the third one will say another, right? It is pull the plug or not. And,
Right.
And so, if two say yes, then the third one has to go along with it. Okay.
That's if you cannot if you don't make a decision right now for yourself, then you can let them make that decision.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Do you want it all three of them?
Yes.
Okay. Let me make a note here. They'll be acting jointly, is what we say.
Oh,
That's how we
okay.
refer to it. And you think, Luigi will want the same thing?
That I have to talk
You
to
gotta
them.
talk to him. Okay. We'll make a note there that. Okay. All right. Well, you couldn't anticipate all the questions that I'm going to be asking you, so we're going to need a list of all your real property, the legal description, and the assessor parcel numbers. Now, you know, people sometimes get a little wary about this part of the procedure because why do you need to know about my real property? You know, what's that all about? Well, the only way the real property is going to go from you to your children or grandchildren or brothers and sisters without having to go to court is through the trust. The real property has to be placed into the trust. Now, a lot of people get a little bit wary about that because they think, well, wait a minute, so I'm not going to be able to do anything with my real property, my house, my rentals?
Yeah, what happens if I want to sell it or refinance?
You can absolutely do that because what we're going to do is we're going to take each one of your pieces of real property and we're going to put it in it's going to go from Luigi and Frida Bisuet to as husband and wife, joint tenants. It's going to go from that legal situation that you're in right now to Luigi and Frida Bisuet, trustees of the Hummingbird Trust. Okay, so what does that do? It puts them in the trust for purposes of transferring title from you as a married couple to you as trustees to maybe Ingrid to see that it gets distributed to all the others at some
Okay.
point. And that, all of that, you know, beautifully enough under the law is accomplished without the need of going to court and asking a judge to intervene.
I see. And how about the real estate that we acquired before we got married?
That's referred to as separate property. Now you can keep that separate property designation, but you should say that in the trust that you're going to retain that property as separate property and you're going to disperse that differently. And then you would spell that out.
Okay. So if I didn't want them to come to this property, which I do, but if I didn't want to, do I make another trust for that?
You can do something that we refer to as an AB trust, which is a trust that provides for real property during your lifetime in going this way, and then when one of you pass away, it gets transferred to a B trust. That would be your separate property, for example. And the A trust and the B trust work their way through with different provisions, you know, different circumstances. And you know, we could set that up for you also. It's not unusual.
Also, we adopted a special child.
Legally, officially?
That one was legally.
Okay. Then that child is your fourth child, and for all legal purposes should share in the distribution or otherwise be disinherited.
Oh, well,
But
they told me that I should have a special trust or something
Yeah.
like that.
it's referred to as a special needs trust. That you took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say But with a special needs child, you need a special needs trust.
Because somebody will have to take care of her.
Exactly. And it could be Ingrid is in charge of seeing that, what's your daughter's name?
Siddhartha.
Siddhartha. Okay. Let me put that in there as a fourth child. I'll need her date of birth and what is it that she is going to have in terms of, what you could do is you could put it down as within Ingrid's discretion. She will have an inheritance.
Well, what I don't, what I didn't put her on the first place because I thought it was going to be in another trust because
Yes.
she's special and she doesn't know how to handle money or anything.
Okay.
So any money wouldn't be directly to her.
Is she Siddhartha Biswet?
Yes, but any money shouldn't go directly to her. But Ingrid will make sure that she has all her life is taken care of.
Okay.
Or maybe Didier because he's the youngest. I don't know, but somebody has to make sure that she's taken care of all her life.
Okay.
By somebody.
All right.
They might not want to take care of her because it is special.
Yes.
And it's a lot of work, but then they will need to hire somebody to take care of her.
Sure. Yeah. What we can do is we can set up a special needs trust for Siddhartha Biswet, and we should check with Ingrid and Astrid and Didier to see that they'd be willing to do that. And if not, we can always get somebody who can do that on a professional basis.
Oh, I see.
Okay?
And then, would that cost me extra?
Well, actually, yes, because special needs trusts are a separate legal document, and they do require some special provisions, let's say, to protect. Let me see if I understand correctly. Currently, you have Siddhartha receiving some type of SSI or something of that nature, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Well, in order for her not to lose that, you do have to have the special needs trust.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter if I leave her with something, would that affect?
Well, you don't want to leave
because
it directly
I don't leave
to
her to there directly.
Yeah, you don't leave it to her directly, and so that's okay, for as long as she is not going to require anything directly.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Alrighty. And so,
So how much more it will cost me?
okay, on a special needs trust, let me tell you that it is not unusual for them to run as high as $2,500, depending on how detailed we need to go. So that's an additional charge. Okay? All right, and we'll get to that in a moment. But you know what I'm going to be needing? I'm going to be needing all of your accounts, your bank accounts, your financial investment accounts. I'll need to have at least the last 4 digits of each one of those accounts and where they are. And the purpose of this is to make sure that if for some reason Luigi's not here, you're not here, Ingrid is not burdened with the challenge of trying to get everything put together and find out where everything is.
Oh, sure.
Okay, so that's
I do have many bank accounts because I went to a seminar and they told me to open different bank accounts to save the money for this or for that or for that.
okay.
Different things.
Okay, well that might be something that they give you some really good solid advice on, and that's okay. The important thing is that we mention that.
All of them are there.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And if you have any annuities or life insurance or anything of that nature, we'll need that information also.
Okay.
Okay?
And same thing for Luigi.
And the same thing for Luigi.
Okay.
Okay? So this is a good start. You're going to be able to take this document with you.
Oh, good.
And you'll be able to fill in the blanks, so to speak.
Okay.
And unless you want to come back with the documents themselves, and we can pull off the data off of that and fill it in. It may be, maybe that Luigi could say, maybe an assistant or somebody, or between the two of you, you just write everything down and fill it out. and that may be the easiest way. Because otherwise, you're tracking down statements that maybe you have online instead of hard copies, right?
Right. Nowadays, almost everything is online.
Exactly.
So yes, definitely. And then we can email it to you, right? We can
And you
scan it
certainly
and
can
email
email
it
it
to
to
you.
me. Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
wonderful. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, fantastic. Well, for today, this is a good start. This is a great start.
Okay.
Okay. I'll need you to make a deposit of $2,500 with my secretary, who's out there
Okay.
patiently waiting for us to terminate this initial interview.
Okay.
And I am just so pleased that we're all on the same page here. I do,
Yeah.
at some juncture, I do need to talk to Luigi without a doubt. Okay.
Okay. So when let's say that today is Monday, by Wednesday, I will send you the papers back,
Okay.
and then next Monday, or when would you when can we make the appointment so Luigi can come too?
Okay, we can have what we call like an interim meeting so that we can make sure we have all the necessary information, and we can do that next Monday. Oftentimes, when things are much simpler than what we have right now,
Mm-hmm.
we don't need to do more than 2 meetings. We get all the information put together,
Mm-hmm.
and then we prepare all the documentation.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have you come back to sign the documents.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, Luigi won't want to come to the intermedium, but he would like to come at the end to sign all the documents.
Well, whether he likes to or not, he has to. Okay. The reason being that everything is notarized, all the documents need to
No,
be.
that's why he will come to that last one.
Okay.
But
Very well.
if we need to meet again before the last one,
He probably won't
he
be.
doesn't want to do that. Because,
Okay. All right. Let's do that.
He's
do that. Let's
he's
you
a
and I
very
meet
busy
again.
guy, and
What's a good time for you on Monday? Next Monday.
at this time will be good. 3 o'clock is
3
Good.
o'clock's good. Okay. I'm making an appointment here. We'll give you a notice, and you can simply put it into your calendar,
sure.
and we'll see you back here.
Okay,
In a week.
sounds good.
It's a very great pleasure to have met you, and I'm really looking forward to helping you out with this.
Okay, me too. I'm looking forward to have it. I know it's very important, and we have been hesitating, but
Yeah.
we shouldn't.
You know, it's amazing just how many people are either ill-informed or just saying, well, we don't need to do that right now. That's not a wise decision, quite frankly. But you're making a wise decision to go forward. Okay. All right. Thank you so very much. Let me walk you out.